Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg, continuing our series this week about water safety. I've got the panel back here. I call them the panel. I don't know. I just went with that. But I've got Haley, Karen, and Jenny back here, and very excited to continue talking about water safety. Today, we're going to talk about open water safety. So we're talking about lakes, streams, state parks, ponds, things that aren't necessarily in your backyard. You might have a stream in your backyard. I don't know. But we want you to keep safe when you head out and enjoy these activities. And we know a lot of people took advantage of the state parks last year, Karen, and that outdoor rec is so important. But swimming in what I would call a non-controlled area, like a pond, lake, river, whatever the case may be, poses different risks, but still brings in some of the same water safety. What should we be thinking about when we're heading out to these spaces?
First thing I'd like families to do is to research their space. Before they go to the river or they go to a state park, know what's going on there. What kind of water is there? What's available? Like some state parks actually have life jackets sitting there on the side and some don't. So it's important that you bring your life jacket if they're not there, and also educate your children on what if there's a current there. You know, there is a flip, float, follow that Wisconsin's working really hard at getting us to do. So if you are walking on the beach in a river and the current will take you, sometimes the sand is so uncertain and you don't know when you're going to follow into that tide, or not tide, but that rip current, and you would go under. And we did have some drownings last year. We had a father that drowned trying to save his children in the river. So we had a really hard year last year of drownings because parents just didn't know the environment they were in. So I guess I would start with making sure you know where you're going and what is available to you for the water.
Haley, on Safe Kids front, water safety is water safety overall, but for finding information about going to a beach and beach safety, I'm just betting you guys have some great resources for that.
Yeah, so one thing I would recommend overall is just to be aware that when you are going to these lakes, rivers, whatever it be, it's not the same as an at-home environment or pool. So I would really research the place that you are going to first. So I know Devil's Lake is a huge one for many families to go to here in Wisconsin. The environment is much, much different. So I would take that time, to look into that location, like Karen said. They don't often have, lifeguards there. They might have designated areas where they recommend those kids to stay, but that's not always the case. And so just knowing you have, a rocky environment that you might be walking into, the sand will be different. And honestly, those places get really crowded in the summer. COVID definitely has impacted that as well. But I think, knowing, your kids are here and you really need to keep that eye on them just because, there's a lot going on at that time.
Jenny, looking at it for swimming lessons and that sort of thing, swimming in a pool, a lot different than maybe swimming in a lake where you've got that wind. And yeah, if you start floating away or even in a river, start going away. But basics in swimming, what would you recommend? I mean, obviously you want to introduce your kids to the water and have fun and have fun at the beach. But when it's talking about swimming and stuff, is there like a certain age range that, where you're comfortable having your kids in the water for swimming in lakes, ponds, or streams?
It goes the same. It's still any age range. No matter the age, you're still going to watch them from, young toddlers up until teenagers. Lakes are different, obviously. There's drop-offs, there's stuff like that. So it's just also being aware of, like everyone has been mentioning, your surroundings and kind of what the atmosphere is. Devil's Lake, like Haley said, is a pretty popular lake that a lot of people go to. And it's a pretty calm area, but that doesn't mean that there's not drop-offs or sharp rocks or anything like that. We teach a lot of floating. And so, one of the biggest things too is for children that are at that age and know how to do it is just, work with them and their comfort in the water. The water is a lot colder than our pool. Our pool stays around 89, 90 degrees. And so going to those situations, it's going to be a lot different feeling for the kids, and the kids will get, colder faster. And being in that environment is just different than an organized, swim area. Also, pools have walls and boundaries where lakes and streams and stuff don't necessarily have, an exact boundary of where they go, and they can expand, and there's, little caves and everything that go in there. So, just being aware, just paying attention, and then just watching your child at all times. Just because they're on the beach playing doesn't mean that they're not going to just keep walking out a little bit further, and then they either get to some sort of a drop off, or the sand shifts, and then they're not able to touch. And then and parents can work with kids on that, of just being comfortable in that area and what to do in that, as as far as like rolling onto their back and just floating there, trying to swim back, but not struggling too much with that situation.
Yeah, great advice there. Really great advice. And looking at life jackets, Karen, the first thing that comes to mind, I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. The 4-year-old's in swimming lessons, but I wouldn't, either one of them, I wouldn't let them close to the water at this point without me tied to them. But life jackets, when you're heading out, why is it so important to put it on those new swimmers when you're at the lake, at these outdoor event or outdoor spaces?
Well, some parents have more than one child they're bringing to the water, or they're bringing a family together. And the life jacket fitted properly. There's the infant life jacket, there's the child one, and then there's the youth one. So make sure you're getting the right one. Every life jacket has a little area on there with how much they weigh. And so they also have, the younger ones have one that goes between their legs and snaps up so it doesn't fall over their head. So it's really important to get the correct life jacket, get it fitted, and put it on. If you bring it from home, it's just, you have it with you. You're not going to make a bad decision of having them go out there without it. And I also do not suggest the pedal jumpers. They're easy. They're in the front. The child can unsnap them. They come out. They give a false sense of security for the child. Or water wings. I haven't even seen water wings around lately. I'm hoping they have gone away forever. But please never use the water wings. Those come off, and more drownings happened in the early in the 2000 early part with the water wings, and they started taking them away more and more. And that's when they went to the pedal jumpers. But life jackets are really important. I like with the infant ones that have that thing on the back, so you can grab it and bring them back to safety, especially if you're on the boat. But for the youth ones, the ones that go over and up between the legs, the children can do more with those and still have a fantastic day in the water.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking just good on some coverage of the sun too. It gives you that little extra barrier of sun. And I'm Haley's like, yeah, we could probably talk about putting on the suntan lotion too as you head out there, which you should do, let alone. Haley, really quick on the life jackets, could Safe Kids help in that way of helping parents if they did have questions, bringing a life jacket to you? Certainly, I know Karen would happily answer any of those questions too for anybody out there. But on Safe Kids front, can you answer some of those questions for parents?
Yeah, absolutely. So Safe Kids Worldwide has a lot of great resources for that life jacket. Too, here in Dane County at the American Family Children's Hospital, we have the Safety Center, which we do provide and have life jackets for sale that can actually, you can call and have them adjusted for kiddos and be fitted. So what we're really looking for is that it is that tight fit. And then when lifted, it's not going to go over their head, cover their nose or mouth. So that is super important. Going off of what Karen said, don't rely on those little floaty devices, those pool noodles, those wings, those tubes. It is not to be in replace of that flotation device. And it is so important. Personally, a tip too for families is, if you have time, learn CPR. I know that we, think we're watching our kids, that those flotation devices will always be there to help, but learning CPR and having that resource too, if you, something happens to your kid or another kid, is so important as well.
Yeah, that is a great point, and I hate to cap it off right there at that spot, but we've got more interviews to come this week, so excited. Thank you all again for your help. We'll be talking about specifically rivers. Last year, we know there were a lot of people take out to the rivers, and unfortunately, there were some fatalities too. We're going to break all of that down on our next segment. So thank you all so much. We'll see you again real soon, and we'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.